Jules Bianchi was an open-wheel driver who worked his way up the Formula One ranks from the late 2000s to the early 2010s. The Frenchman was destined to be a race car driver. His grandfather Mauro Bianchi competed in sports car racing during the 1960s. He's also the grandnephew of Lucien Bianchi, who competed in 19 Formula One Grand Prix between 1959 to 1968, as well as winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1968 before tragically passing away during a test the following year. He was exposed to racing right from the get-go, as his father owned his very own go-kart track. Jules showed natural ability right away, but while he was working his way up through the go-karting ranks, he also helped the younger drivers learn the ropes as well, including his very own godson. We'll get to who that godson is at the end of the video, but for now, Jules' ambition was to race in Formula One. From 2007 to 2009, he competed in multiple Formula Renault series as well as Formula 3, winning championships in French Formula Renault as well as the Formula 3 Euro series. This success in the latter series caught the attention of the most iconic team in Formula One history, Ferrari. After multiple tests with them, he became the first recruit of the Ferrari Driver Academy. This was a childhood dream being accomplished, as his favorite driver growing up was Michael Schumacher. From 2009 to 2011, he also competed in the GP2 series as well as the GP2 Asia series. In his first season with ART in 2010, he took multiple pole positions and scored a ton of points. He suffered a vertebrae injury that first season, but recovered and didn't miss a beat. Bianchi would remain with ART in 2011. In the Asia GP2 series, he held off fellow Frenchman Romain Grosjean to score a feature victory. He finished runner-up in the point standings to Grosjean, but in the main series, he really improved, finishing third in the Drivers' Championship, but finally scoring that first career GP2 victory at Silverstone. In his 37 total starts in GP2, he scored 10 podiums, 4 poles, and 1 victory. While opting to switch to Formula Renault in the latter series for 2012, his F1 ambitions were about to take a major leap. While still being a part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, they loaned him over to the Force India team for the 2012 season, where he competed for them in 9 free practice sessions as a test and reserve driver. But in 2013, Bianchi would finally make it to the big time.
Them to be serious and work hard, so it's really nice.
In 2013, Jules Bianchi made his official Formula One debut with Marussia. He quickly turned heads with the team in his first race with them in the Australian Grand Prix, getting as high as P11 in one of the practice sessions, as well as out-qualifying his teammate Max Chilton on debut. He ended up finishing 15th that weekend, and by the 10th race of the 2013 Formula One season, he had beaten his teammate in all qualifying sessions and races that both had finished. While Bianchi showed flashes of greatness at times, his team Marussia, yeah, that was a totally different story. They were clearly one of the backmarkers in all of Formula One. He wasn't gonna stay there forever, but for now, he had to make the best of what he had. Throughout the hard times, he remained a positive influence within the team. His best finish in 2013 came at Malaysia, finishing 13th. By the fall of 2013, it was already confirmed that he would be back with them for the 2014 season. They were projected to not score any championship points for the second season in a row. Jules Bianchi, however, proved them all wrong. In the biggest race of the season at Monaco, despite being only 13th through the speed trap, Bianchi muscled his Marussia all the way inside the points positions. Unfortunately, he faced more adversity during the race. Taking his stop and go during the safety car would lead to a 5-second penalty. However, with some help in the late stages of the race from Kimi Räikkönen and Kevin Magnussen, Bianchi was able to get around both of them, not only securing his first career championship points, but the team's as well.
Hi Jules, this is John. Mighty job, mate. Absolute mighty.
Good. So which place we finished with the penalty?
I think we're P9. I think we are P9. Very good race, Jules.
Finally we have a point. Woo! I'm so happy.
Well done, Jules. Great race. Top man.
To describe this as just a good run would be a complete understatement. This was basically a win for them. He got so much praise for this run from some marquee F1 drivers, which included Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa. They wouldn't score any more points for the rest of the season, but Bianchi showed that he was the true #1 driver. Throughout the season, he outperformed Max Chilton in both qualifying and the races. He clearly had a bright future ahead of him, and just days before the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix, he had declared himself ready to take on the role of becoming an official Ferrari driver. But unfortunately, he would never get that opportunity, because on October 5th, 2014, tragedy would strike.
The Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka, a controversial race run amid monsoon-like conditions, and one that now sees the French driver, we're sad to report, Jules Bianchi, in hospital, where the FIA say he's undergoing surgery after suffering a severe head injury in a crash earlier this day at the Suzuka track.
On the 43rd lap of the Japanese Grand Prix, Bianchi lost control of his car and veered right towards the runoff area. He ended up colliding with the rear of a tractor crane tending to the removal of Adrian Sutil's Sauber. The accident happened under horrible racing conditions. The contributing factors were found to include track conditions, car speed, and the presence of a recovery vehicle on the circuit. The race was immediately stopped and Lewis Hamilton was declared the winner. Bianchi was reported as being unconscious after not responding to either the team radio calls or marshals. Because of the poor weather conditions, a transport by helicopter was not possible. Bianchi was further transported by ambulance for 32 minutes under police escort. Bianchi suffered a traumatic brain injury, a diffuse axonal injury to be specific. It was not looking good from the very beginning, as only 90% of people who survived this type of injury never regained consciousness. On July 17, 2015, Jules Bianchi succumbed to his injuries that he had suffered 9 months earlier and died at the age of 25. His legacy can be found in a few things. For one, the FIA revised their race regulations to where this type of tragic accident will never happen again, as well as adding the halo in 2018. Oh, and remember his godson I had mentioned earlier? That turned out to be future F1 driver Charles Leclerc. After the tragedy, Leclerc continued to progress up the F1 ranks, in which he was also signed to Ferrari's driver academy, eventually scoring a ride with them for the 2019 season. As of this upload, he has scored multiple podiums and wins with the team, accomplishments that Jules Bianchi would have achieved had he lived on. Jules Bianchi was working his way up the F1 ranks and was clearly destined to become a future superstar. While his tragedy did lead to safety innovations for all of Formula One, fans will always be left with the most agonizing question: what if? The only thing fans can hope for today is that his godson Charles Leclerc becomes a world champion in the famous Ferrari, something I'm quite sure Bianchi would have achieved. Jules Bianchi was 25 years old. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Black Flags Matter. Catch you next time.